Oh shit, sorry. It's okay. Water. You have to travel now. So Kajal, smudge proof. Stock. Recession proof. Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to a very interesting video which is about a fundamentally strong stock and it's a recession-proof stock. But if I'm referring to a recession-proof stock, the very first thing that you need to understand is what is recession. So if I were to tell you the meaning, it says that recession is a term used to signify a slowdown in general economic activity. Now, if I were to go a little bit deeper and make you understand the meaning of recession, in macroeconomics, recession has been typically recognized as 2 consecutive quarters of economic decline as reflected by GDP in conjunction with monthly indicators such as rise in unemployment. काही कळलं नाही आपल्याला बरोबर ना नथिंग फुल बाउन्सर ठीक आहे डोंट वरी I'll tell you in simple words what is recession. So what does this say? Number one, it has to be a slowdown in the economy. Now how do I decide whether there is a slowdown or not? Simple. If the GDP is slowing down or GDP is decreasing, that is a simple meaning of slowdown in the economy. So is the economy really slowing down or not? So for that what we can do is we can go to a website which is tradingeconomics.com, right? So I've gone to this website and here we have data for India. I'm clicking on that. And here you can see something known as, okay, first I'll have to click on the GDP tab and here you can see GDP constant prices. So this GDP constant prices, sometimes known as the real GDP, if this is cooling off, going down for 2 consecutive quarters, then we say we are in a recession. So I'm clicking on this and if you see this for India, by the way, this data is published quarterly, okay. Kahan hai recession? Dhundo there is no recession. Last 4 quarters, India has been reporting increase in constant GDP. So, first things first, I hope everyone is absolutely clear, we are not in a recession at all. Does this mean that we can never go in a recession? That answer is also not correct. So, typically what happens is that if government fears that currently the inflation in India is pretty high, in conjunction with that, we have a high GDP. So government then says that instead of GDP, we'll shift our focus to inflation. Okay, now what happens? To control inflation, when they control inflation, automatically the GDP can also drop. And if such drop happens for 2 consecutive quarters, that's when we can say there is recession. I hope the concept of recession is absolutely clear. Don't forget to check our blogs on our website rachanaranade.com and here we post blogs every day which talk about top news of the day and one stock based on technical analysis. So if you want to know more about recession, you can also check out the RBI notification dated 30th July 2002. Please refer to point number 2.12 to dig down deep into the meaning of recession and I have also given the link of this notification in the description box, right? Now with this, now let us understand that agreed we are not in a recession, but just in case, while controlling inflation, if we end up in going into a recession, then what happens? What happens exactly when there is a recession? What are the effects of recession? To know that, just let's have a look at this circle. First, whenever we say that there is recession means what happens? It means that the GDP will go down 2 consecutive quarters, you remember that, right? When I say GDP will go down, can I say ideally or automatically the production levels will also go down? Ideally, yes, right? If production levels go down, then automatically the employer will feel that, array, production is down, I don't need so much employees in my organization. So this may lead to cutting down in the number of employees and this will lead to more and more unemployment. If there is more and more unemployment, then this can lead to what? This can lead to reduction in the spending power of people. If the spending power is reduced, then what happens? Automatically demand is reduced. And if demand is reduced, automatically it will lead to lower and lower production. I hope you are understanding how we get trapped in this vicious circle. And you can imagine, I mean, God forbid, but just in case, if a person loses his job because of such recession, and unfortunately in such a scenario, if he has to meet some hospitalization expenses, maybe for himself or any of his family members, then you can imagine that what situation he might go through. Number one, he's not earning right now. On top of that, hospitalization, post-hospitalization expenses. So ideally what should happen is we should be well prepared for such situations and we should not take last minute decisions. So how can we be well prepared? Simple thing is to have a health insurance policy. But then you might be confused that who will help me in choosing the right health insurance policy which suits me. For that, I came across one of the very good websites which is Ditto, and when you log on to their website, you can also book a free consultation call with them. Once you book this call, the team of Ditto will help you to choose the insurance policy that suits your requirement. Not only that, they will help you in the entire buying process, and in addition to that, again, God forbid, but if you want to have a claim settled, in that settlement process also, they will help you. So, to avail all these benefits, and if you want to also know about one additional benefit which you might not be aware of, is that if you want an insurance policy not in the physical form, but in an e-form, in an electronic form, then also Ditto people can help you with that. So, if you want to know more about taking an insurance from Ditto, please check out the link in the description below. Remember what happened in the pre-bumper? I talked about waterproof phone, I talked about smudge-proof kajal, and I talked about a recession-proof stock. Now, what do I mean by recession-proof stock? So, typically, if recession were to hit our economy, then in that case, what will happen? Will the market react negatively? Obviously, yes. So, let's take an example. Assume that our market falls by 5%, okay? And let's talk about a stock that reacts in a very similar way, and the stock also goes down by 5%, right? In this case, we say that the beta of the stock is 1, right? Let's take case number 2. Market falls by 5% and the stock falls by 7 or 8%. In that case, this is a high beta stock. There is a chance that it is very much related to the economy. Okay, there is a slowdown in production, unemployment, everything is hit for that specific stock. Third scenario, market falls by 5%, but this stock falls only by 2.5%. Why? I can say that this stock was not really related to the economy, and that is why I call such stocks as low beta stocks in our example, right? So, what is a low beta stock? It will not move in the same magnitude as that of the market. So, if you have understood this, I hope you are very clear in your mind that if I am referring to a recession-proof stock, does it mean that it will not fall by even 1 rupee if we come in a recession? Answer is no. The stock might fall down, but not in the same magnitude, not in the same gravity as the market. But which stock am I referring to? That's exactly what we are going to discuss in the next section of the video. And finally revealing the name of the company, that is CDSL. Alright, so CDSL is a company whose beta is, just check out on the screen, it is 0.57. Now you understand, this is a low beta stock. Again, I am repeating that just in case if we enter into a recession and if the market goes down, does it mean that this stock will never go down? I am not saying that. It means that if beta is 0.57, it may go down, but not ideally in the same magnitude in which the market goes down. Alright, with this basic information, let's quickly understand what does the company do. See, basically CDSL is a depository, right? What does a depository do? Depository typically facilitates demat accounts. Now, if you don't know what is a demat account, simple explanation can be like in banks, we deposit money. In demat accounts, we deposit or we keep our shares. Simple. Now, if I were to tell you more about depositories, I can say that it's very important or a crucial part of the overall market infrastructure institutions. So, whenever I'm talking about market infrastructure institutions, what all institutions are included? Number 1, we need an exchange. Number 2, we need an issuer company. Number 3, we would need investors. Number 4, we would also need clearing and settlement houses. And of course, what would we need? We would also need depositories as an important part of this entire system, right? Just in case if you felt that last 20 seconds all these institutions and all that was completely alien to you, it means that you have not checked out my basics of stock market course, and you should definitely check that out to have some solid foundation on your stock market knowledge. So, let me take you more into details about CDSL. So, in 1995, okay, animation team, 95, okay, what happened? In 95, basically Bombay Stock Exchange shifted from open floor trading system to electronic trading system. So, what do we mean by this? You might have seen in the movie Guru and in Harshad Mehta that people used to scream and used to settle trades, right? Or used to ask for buying and selling. What was that? That was typically known as open floor system. But in the year 1995, they shifted from open floor to electronic trading system. Okay. Now what happened? Fast forward to 1999, they promoted CDSL. Did BSE singly promote CDSL? No, they promoted it along with leading banks such as SBI, Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, HDFC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank and Union Bank of India. So all these big institutions put together, they promoted CDSL. Now you might be wondering that, Rachana, before 1995, wasn't CDSL required? Answer was no. Why? Because before 1995, everything used to be settled in physical. We had physical share certificates, right? What does a depository do? Depository has a capacity to hold shares in the electronic format, and that is the reason why when BSE shifted from open floor system to electronic trading system, that was the time when the need for an electronic system was felt, and that is the reason why 4 years from this shift, they came up with CDSL. After that, many things happened in CDSL, but let's fast forward, animation team, to 2019. Now, what happened in 2019? CDSL became the largest depository in India in terms of active demat accounts. I believe that discount brokers also have some important role to play in this, because of which they became largest depository, right? Again, going ahead with year 2020, CDSL becomes the first depository in India to cross 2 crore active demat accounts. And in this case, I would not only like to give due credit to discount brokers, I would also love to give credit to finance YouTube content creators, maybe. Okay, anyways. Now, if you have a look at this chart, you can see that from 2013-14 to 2020-21, clearly every single year, CDSL has outperformed NSDL in number of demat accounts opened, right? But I hope you have understood all the basics about CDSL. Well, let's move ahead with a very interesting part about the 4 subsidiaries of CDSL. The very first one is CDSL Ventures Limited. The second one is CDSL Insurance Repository Limited. The third one is CDSL Commodity Repository Limited. And the fourth one is CDSL IFSC Limited. But now with all these 4 names, what are we going to do? We are going to understand them one by one. The very first one is CDSL Ventures Limited. Now think about it logically. See, finally, CDSL is a depository, right? So if I were to open a demat account, that is opened with a DP, okay, but ultimately it is facilitated by whom? The depository. And for that, what is the most important document or documents? That is nothing but the KYC related documents. Now you can imagine, whenever you are doing your KYC, there has to be an organization which uploads all the KYC documents and secures them digitally. Who does that? That is done by CDSL Ventures Limited, and it is the first and the largest KYC registration agency in the country with over 3.93 crore fully digitized KYC records as on 31st December 2021. Okay. In simple words, if you want to remember, CDSL Ventures Limited is something related to what? KYC records. Simple. Going back, out of these 4, moving on to the second one, that is CDSL Insurance Repository Limited. Now, what does this entity help us, or what does this enable? This basically enables all the policyholders to keep their insurance policies. Which insurance policies? Be it a life insurance or be it a non-life insurance policy. How? In an electronic format. So, like you can keep your shares in electronic format, if you want to keep your insurance policies in electronic format, who is going to facilitate that? That is going to be facilitated by CDSL Insurance Repository Limited. Simple. Remember what I talked about ditto, the same point, right? Moving back out of these 4, let's move on to the third one, that is CDSL Commodity Repository Limited. Now, I want 100% attention about this, because many of us do deal in stock markets, but very few of us actually deal in commodity markets, right? So now let us take an example. Assume that I am a farmer and I have 1 quintal of wheat. I want to sell it, and I want to sell it through some recognized commodity exchange in an electronic form. Can I do that? How do I do that? Simple. Number 1, I have to keep all the wheat in a registered warehouse. Now, with whom is this warehouse registered? That warehouse will be registered with CDSL Commodity Repository Limited. Okay. Now, once my wheat is kept in that warehouse, in the registered warehouse, they will issue me a depository. They will issue me a negotiable warehouse receipt. But negotiable warehouse receipt will be in a physical form? No, it will be in an electronic form. And now if I have this electronic receipt, can I trade that on the exchange? Answer is obviously yes. So I hope you have understood what does this subsidiary do. And I would also want to tell you that so far they have extended this electronic ownership of commodity assets to 149 agricultural commodities. So I just gave you example of wheat. Like that, they have extended to 149 agricultural commodities, and I talked about one warehouse in our example. They have a tie-up with, and they have registered how many warehouses till date? 3,552 registered warehouses till date. That's a big number, right? And moving on to, out of all these, moving on to the final subsidiary, that is CDSL IFSC Limited. Now, if you want to understand the importance of this, it's simple. Now you can imagine that whenever we are trading, whenever we are investing in the market, we do have a choice of CDSL or NSDL for keeping our shares. But if I am talking about global investors, if global investors are wanting to invest in Indian markets, is that possible? Yes, through IFSC at GIFT City, right? But if I am talking about global investors who are wanting to invest in India, where will they keep the shares that they have bought? Will they keep it in normal depository? Answer is no. They will have to keep it in a depository which will be called as a foreign depository. And who will provide this foreign depository? That will be provided by CDSL IFSC Limited. In simple words, this entity is going to help whom? Foreign investors or global investors, so that they can keep their shares in a demat format. Well, I hope you have understood everything about CDSL and their 4 subsidiaries. But one thing that you generally tend to ignore is about, not CDSL, but about Rachana Ranade's YouTube channel. So 4 things that you need to know is, subscribe to the channel, then hit the bell icon, 3rd, like the video, and 4, share it with your friends. When you heard the entire previous section, I'm sure you might be like still in an awe that, oh, insurance is in demat format. Then we also talked about how we are serving the global investors. We also talked about how e-warehousing receipts are being issued. We also talked about how your KYC documents are being kept in the electronic format. So all these 4 subsidiaries, are they really contributing to a lot of chunk to their profitability? So for that, let's have a look at this statement, which is for the year ended 31st March 2021. Now, if you see how much percentage of the total net profit and loss is being contributed by main parent company, by the way, this is consolidated P&L that I'm talking about. The parent company is contributing to 79.52%. I can say almost 80% contributed by whom? CDSL only. And all these 4 subsidiaries put together, that's only 20%. Wait. Out of that 20% also, the CDSL Ventures Limited, which was that KYC related entity, that is contributing to 19.52%. Now, balance 0.5% is being contributed by insurance repository, CDSL insurance repository, CDSL commodity, and CDSL IFSC. Now, you can imagine, once these 3 subsidiaries also start to pick up, can they also contribute a lot to the profitability of the business? Yes. So, in simple words, I can say that there's a lot of headroom left for increase in profitability for CDSL, right? Now that you have understood about the profitability aspect, let's go to the revenue generation aspect of CDSL. What do you feel? Majority of the revenue for CDSL is going to come from what? From the document storage charges, right? Because they are going to store the demat, they are going to store the shares in the electronic form, and that's where their maximum revenue will be coming from, right? So let's have a look at this pie chart, and you will see that entire 2% is coming from what? Document storage charges. That's it. Then what else? 2% from e-voting charges, 6% others, 25% annual issuer charges. Now you can see these are annual issuer charges, nothing related to recession. Getting my point? Even the document storage charges, you are going to get that. E-voting, hone hi wala hai. All these are not related to recession, not at all. Okay. Transaction charges, possible. So if stock market, the market itself goes down, the indices fall, possibility that people trading less may happen, but that is only 35% of their revenue. 16% is online data charges, 10% is IPO or corporate action charges, ECAS is 4%. In simple words, I just wanted to tell you through this chart that their revenue is very well diversified. I wanted to clarify the myth that a very small chunk of the revenue comes from the document storage charges. And third point I wanted to tell you that why am I calling this as a recession-proof stock? Not only because of its beta, but because of its well-diversified revenue model. Let's talk about the fundamental analysis of CDSL. Now, if I go down here, you can see that the EPS is definitely increasing, but the PE is declining. So, again, I can say that currently it seems to be a little bit undervalued. If I go on to understand the annual P&L for the company, I'm on consolidated view. Here you can see that sales is at an all-time high. Operating profit is at an all-time high. OPM percentage at 66 is again at an all-time high. PBT and PAT is also at an all-time high. Now, if you check compounded sales growth at 10 years, 19%, not bad. Compounded profit growth 10 years, 20%, again not bad. Stock price CAGR 3 years is 71%, 1 year 17%. Of course, it's comparatively a recent listing. That is the reason why you can see only 1 year data and 3 year data. And if you want to know more about the IPO performance, I hope you are checking my Insta Reels as well. That is where I have posted about CDSL IPO reel. Okay, going ahead with ROE. Here you can see ROE for 10 years time frame is 19% and latest last year is 32%. If you check at the balance sheet, debt to equity, fantastic. Why there's no debt? It's a debt-free company, right? If you check about cash flows as well, we'll take this as the last parameter. Here you can see cash flow from operating activities is at an all-time high at 282 crores. So all in all, I can see not bad at all as far as the fundamentals of the company are concerned. Well, I hope you enjoyed this fundamental analysis of a recession-proof stock. But if you want to know more about a fundamentally strong stock as a monsoon special stock, you can click here. And if you want to know more about how to earn stable income in unstable markets, you can click here. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye.